One of the worst parts about growing up is watching your parents get old. It hit me one time when I was looking at one of my dad's old student ID cards. It was crazy seeing a photo of him like that, so full of youth, a full head of hair. And then I looked up at my father, and obviously he's 20, 30 years older now. He doesn't have that same youthful spark about him. And it really made me stop and think, same with my mum as well, that they're not going to be around forever. And you might be listening to this and you might have lost your parents, or maybe it's just something you haven't really thought about, losing your parents. And I'm sure anyone who has lost their parents will tell you need to make most of the time you have with them. It's sad to think about. We don't think about these things when we're kids because we view our parents as invincible. We don't think about the future that much, but if you still have your parents around, make the most of the time you have with them. And something that I've been trying to do is get to know my parents on a deeper level, because of course I know a lot about my parents, but there's some things that you don't know about. You know, friends that they had in high school or experiences they had in their youth. And so I decided to ask my mum one time, I think it was last week, at the dinner table, I decided to ask her, what friend do they miss the most from their past? And my mum started to think, and she talked about how back in the day, family was very important. You used to live around your family a lot. They would be your neighbours. She used to hang around with her cousins a lot. She used to have pen pals, one from Wales and one from as far as Germany. She used to talk with them on the phone, all because she had this girls' magazine and there were pen pals in it that she could write letters to and talk to. And talking about other family members in Scotland as well, uncles she had, people that she hasn't seen in such a long time. And I could tell she was enjoying talking about it, and I was very happy to give her that, and I was very happy to hear about these things and to have that knowledge now. And then I asked my dad, and my dad's a little more on the, doesn't necessarily talk that much about his past. He'll talk about stories, but you have to sort of ask about him. And sometimes he'll just give a vague answer. Like, you'll ask him who his favourite, friend from his past was, and he's like, oh, I had loads of friends, people I went to school with, such and such. And you're like, come on, give me a little bit more to work with. But we still had a good conversation. And I think it's important also to have these conversations, because ultimately your parents are always going to view you as a child, because you're their child. They've literally watched you grow from being even before you were born. And sometimes you have to prove to them that you're no longer a boy, you're a man. And it's a way of doing that is having these deep conversations. You might be at a stage now where maybe you're similar to me, you're 18, 19 years old, but you still feel like a kid. You still get treated like a kid. You don't have the same confidence that a man would have. And I think if you start having these kind of conversations with people in general, with your parents, start asking deep questions, people will start to take you more seriously. They'll think, this kid's got a good head on his shoulders. He thinks about these things. And plus it makes people feel good, making them talk about themselves. And you ultimately have to do it before it's too late. As I said, I imagine there's a lot of people listening who have lost their parents, wish they had asked about so many things, wish there was hundreds of things that they found out, or wishing that they'd told stories or listened to that one cool story one more time. And my heart goes out to you. So I'm actively making an effort to get to know my parents more, be present when I'm spending time with them, have an interest in what they're interested in, and just be grateful. And it may be hard for you to be grateful for your parents because of things they've done in the past. Maybe you're estranged from their parents, but all I can say is if you're ready to take that step for reconciliation, please take that step. At the end of the day, You only have one father, you only have one mother. And you can make an effort if they are not reciprocating to that, if they don't want to get involved with you for whatever reason has happened. That's perfectly fine, but at least give it a try. You need to leave your ego aside sometimes and put them first, in a way. I have so much to be grateful for my parents, and of course there are times when I'm annoyed by them, when they're telling me what I should do with my life, when they're trying to compare me to other people, and it is frustrating. In the moment, I'm so annoyed, so frustrated, so angry by it. I just have to bite my tongue, and sometimes you wish you could speak out about that, but I remain polite, I remain respectful, and I continue to prove to them that I'm no longer a boy, and that I'm a man. And that's why I make videos like this. That's why I'm trying to make something of myself. That's why I build my social skills. That's why I go to the gym. That's why I meet new people. And you may think it's bad that I'm trying to prove something to my parents, but I'm not necessarily trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to give back the effort that they put into raising me. Because think about the chat. First of all, there's the chances of me being born. I think my parents met at a bar somewhere. What was it, 20 something years ago now? They met at a bar. Like, think about the chances. I know, like, the chances of being born are like 1 in 300 trillion or something like that. I can't remember. Like, just think of the variables. Imagine if my dad had decided to stay in that night, or my mum had decided to stay in that night, or he decided to leave an hour earlier or leave an hour later, or decided, oh, I'll go tomorrow instead. All these different variables for my parents meeting, and then of course there was me being born, all the experiences I've had. They could have decided to put me up for adoption. They could have decided that they didn't want me. They could have left me on the side of the road. My parents do jokes that they found me under a blackberry bush sometimes. And yeah, it's, being a good parent is a choice. And they chose to do that. They chose to raise me. And of course they're not perfect parents. No one is, but they've certainly done a lot for me. They've certainly done more than I could ever pay them back. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Hence why I'm making these videos, trying to get a message out there, trying to help people in order to help my parents. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. And as always, you take very good care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.